I see a hand, but I don't know why my system today doesn't show me. Okay, Mr. Sbanda. Mr. Sbanda, you have
Thank you,
the floor.
Chairperson.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, the license conditions, I think, have improved substantially from the last time, and they read much better. And thank you to Mr. Kumete and the team for a job well done. Just have one or two enhancements, Chair. First is the definition of transitional arrangements. So it reads as transitional arrangements mean any arrangement granted with the license to address shortcomings in the licensing framework. Chair, can I suggest that we probably rephrase that, because transitional arrangements are not necessarily meant to address shortcomings, but to manage the transition from the one license to the other. So my discomfort is just with the word addressing shortcomings, because they go beyond just that. Maybe if you can just rephrase that, Chair. And then I also had just one or two proposals under the system operator, and that's clause 8 of the license conditions. That's on page 14 of 40 under system operator. The first sentence indicates that it shall control the operation and be responsible for the short-term reliability. Can we probably also add stability in addition to reliability? Similarly to 7.1.1, that talks to reliability, safety, security. Perhaps we could also add stability as well, if that's acceptable. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. I don't see any other hands. May I just enhance a few things? I'll start on the definitions. If we go to the definitions, the Eskom transmission license, I think we want to define what it is, but I'm not sure if that's that one. It must be. I'm not sure if Eskom is going to have its transmission license. So I was expecting that we would be talking about the NTCSA if we are talking a transmission license, because when I was reading the body of this, I could also not see where this Eskom transmission license is being used. So I'm not sure if am I clear, Mr. Gumeda, about my comment on that one?
Yes, we are, Chair. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And then in, don't know where my notes have disappeared to, but I think it was still on the definitions. May you bear with me 1 second? So it was on the definitions. Oh, I can't find it now. So let me just quickly. I think then we have something that means that's a transmission license. I mean, maybe it's our term, but if we are going to call it a transmission license, this is on page 28 of 40, then we must just mean that what the Act says it is. It means a license that is issued to operate a transmission facility. As I'm not sure if that definition really does the trick. And the other one is I see then we start with point 2 on 29 of 40. I'm unsure if this is the license condition when we define what the regulator does. It's not a license condition. We've taken the Act and we've just put the Act onto this. We talk about what it must issue. I don't understand how it is a license condition. And then there was there's 5.2.3, the phrasing of that any question as to the fairness or reasonableness of such terms shall be decided by the regulator on the basis of the regulator's opinion of fairness of reason. I think we can have one sentence that says that any disputes, as the Act kind of says, whether it's on non-discrimination or even the pricing of this, would be referred to the regulator for mediation, arbitration, and all of the other things that say that the regulator can do. And I apologize. My system has frozen. But we can deal with those enhancements if there are responses that you would want to have, Mr. Gumede. We can deal with those. I don't see any other hands from the members. Over to you, Mr. Gumede.
Thanks, Chairperson. I think those enhancements are truly welcomed. And for instance, even on the issue that you raised around the definition of the ESCOM transmission license, sometimes when these things are drafted, these definitions creep in, but they never get used. We will expand. We will delete that because it doesn't come in anyway. And clearly, of the issues that you've raised, for instance, the actual work, the issue about what the regulator, the powers of the regulator don't belong. It's not actually a condition of license, and those things would be removed. Chair, I know that some of them you've raised before, and I apologize that they may not have been removed, but we actually do welcome those and enhancements. We are not going to be adding anything else. Thanks.
Thank you, members. With that, then, can I take you to the decision page? Mr. Gumede, may you assist? Like my system, I'm rebooting it because I can't get to that decision page.
Thanks, Chair. Decision is on the overstand page 3 of 40. The decision that is required is that we are here to recommend that the Energy Regulator approves the final license conditions with the amendments that have been proposed for the National Transmission Company of South Africa, NTCSA transmission license, which was approved on the 27th of July 2023. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Members, may you indicate by raising your hand if you are in support of the recommendation or the decision. We've got Ms. Maseti, Mr. Gumede, Mr. Mane, Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Bia, Mr. Spanda, and Ms. Mpungo. So thank you. We have the decision. May I then ask you, Mr. Gumede, to carry on?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll then ask members to then go to item 5.2, which is where basically here is the committee to request the energy regulator to approve the decision, and of course the associated reasons for decisions for Eskom's application for the separate 6-year negotiated price agreements for each of the 4 of the 5 Glencore Merafe Chrome Venture ferrochrome smelter operations in Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and the Northwest, and that decision be communicated with to be shared with Eskom. Chair, as indicated, I think at the last ER meeting, this matter we actually presented the consultation paper on this particular NPA application, and there was an indication that there are 5 smelters, but only unfortunately 4 were considered because of an incomplete application for the 5th one, which is the one that is in the Northwest, in Rustenburg. But in essence, Chairperson, this matter has been deliberated and has been consulted as well with the public, and we are here, Chairperson, to then ask that each of the 6 NPAs that were applied for the 4 smelters, namely Boswalk, the first one, Vanderkop, Lion, and the Leidenburg smelters, that these be approved, Chairperson, as been applied for. This matter was discussed at length. I think perhaps if there's anything that I would like to raise with the members, concerned by members, is that the key concern by members is, the 2 of them, is that the issue of the EPP in terms of costs, to make sure that the prices that are actually awarded or given to the smelters must make sure that they are based on the cost of supply. And this, of course, has been indicated by Eskom that has been done. But also the key issue was also is compliance with Section 21.2 of ERA, which is about discrimination, to make sure that there is no discrimination in respect, and if there is, and that should have been explicitly applied for. Chairperson, all of those were actually considered. Chair, we are just here as committee then to ask that the ER then approve these 4 NPAs, these 4 6-year NPAs for the Glencore Merafe Chrome venture smelters that are located in Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and the Northwest. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Members, the submission is before us for enhancements, improvements, or any questions that we would require clarity on. Any questions from the members? None. May I then take the members to page, the page with recommendations? I think it's page 5 of 113. So the recommendations as listed there, that it's the decision and the reasons for the decision for this application, that this reasons for the decision must be shared with Eskom, and that the publication of the decision and the reasons must be on the NESA website. I'm not sure about that. We need to approve that these things be on the NESA website. So 5.3, I think, can we delete? I think 5.1 and 5.2 are the 2 things that we need to decide on. Members, may you indicate by raising your hands if you are in support of 5.1 and 5.2. Ms. Mane, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Maseti, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Bia, and Ms. Banda. Thank you. We have approved 5.1 and 5.2, and 5.3 really is a matter of what NESA does. Thank you. Mr. Gumede, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. 5.3 is very similar, Chair, to 5.2, and I'll take the matter as read. But in this particular case, Chair, this particular one applies. It's actually an application again by Eskom. Again, it's separate 6 NPAs, but this time is for the 6 Samanco smelter, Samanco chrome smelters. And these, perhaps just for the record, Chair, just to read them in for the record, which ones those are, because they're unfortunately not listed in the 2-pager. But those are the ones that are also located in Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and Northwest. The first one being ferrometals, the second one being Middleburg ferrochrome, the third one being Dubatso ferrochrome, and the fourth one being Dubatso alloy, and the 5th one being TC smelters, and the last one being Dikwena chrome smelter in Moenoi in the Bretts area. Chairperson, again, these are very similar to the previous one, and the decision that is sought, Chair, is also the same. And also, if we can then just remove the third one, 5.3, which is a publication. But Chair, we're just asking as the committee that the Energy Director approves the decision to award these NPAs to the 6 smelters, and to actually have the decision communicated with Eskom. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Members, any questions or comments on this one? None. May I then request that we go onto the decision page, and we're also approving the first and the second recommendations as presented by Mr. Gumede. By show of hands, colleagues. Ms. Maseti, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Mpungose, Ms. Bia, Mr. Spanda, Ms. Mane, and Mr. Mkhize. Thank you. We have item 5.3 approved as proposed. We have taken off 5.4. Mr. Gumede, you can take us to 5.5.
Thank you, Chairperson. This one, Chair, is really just for we are here to request the energy regulator to approve the reviewed cost of supply framework. Again, just by way of background, is that this has become even more urgent this time in terms of an appropriate cost of supply framework to be used by municipalities in their application for approval of their tariffs, in the sense that the previous or the approach that has been used by the energy regulator for a few years now has been that we've been using the guideline and benchmark approach to approve tariffs for municipalities. Unfortunately, this one has been declared to be illegal and has been set aside. It's been declared as being of no force and effect, and therefore we need to then now go to and ensure that the municipalities apply for their tariffs based on a cost of supply framework, which is compliant with Section 15(1) of the Act. Chair, I will also take the item as read. However, just to indicate that the reason why it's a reviewed is because in October of 2016, the energy regulator did approve a cost of supply framework, but unfortunately, since 2016, really only 8 municipalities have been able to implement fully and to actually develop to develop tariffs that are based on their cost of supply. There are opportunities, we believe, at this stage that could be implemented to make it easier or to assist the municipalities to be able to then supply or to use the framework accordingly, for them to be able to make the applications to make applications that are cost of supply framework compliant. So, Chair, in essence, all we are then here for is that we are then asking that the 2016 methodology be enhanced, or has been there have been proposals on how it could be enhanced, and we are then asking that the energy regulator approves this enhanced cost of supply framework. Chair, before the question is asked, is that we still need to come back to the energy regulator with the plan in terms of how using this cost of supply framework, how we believe that the municipalities will then be able to meet this requirement that they apply for tariffs that are cost of supply compliant. That plan is still, the team is still developing, and it will be brought to the energy regulator on time. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Colleagues, members, there's a submission in front of us, and the request is to approve the revised or reviewed cost of supply framework. Any questions, comments? None. May I then request if we could raise our hands to indicate that we're in support of the recommendations 6.11. But I also want to just add that we can just make it 6.12. We are approving the decision and the reasons for the decision. I see the variation that now we are approving based on the supply, on the attached reasons for decision. We are approving, and our reasons for the decisions are the ones attached. If we could just make it the second point in that. We've got Mr. Gumede. Sorry, colleagues, I may have missed the hands. I only saw Mr. Gumede, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Sibanda, Mr. Mane, Ms. Maseti, and Ms. Bungose, and Ms. Bia. Thank you. The revised cost of supply study is approved. Mr. Gumede, can you take us to 5.6?
Thank you, Chairperson. This one is a request for the energy regulator to then approve the agreed ESCOM's distribution service quality incentives. And it must be noted, Chair, is in respect of year 3 of the MYPD4. Sometimes it is confusing, especially in the days of load shedding. That is very easy for people to just look at it in terms of this year. But just to put it in context, is for MYPD4 year 3. So there were performance targets that were agreed with ESCOM distribution, and these were really just to ensure that the technical performance of Eskom's distribution is evaluated, and but only for matters that are within the control of Eskom distribution. Therefore, their performance it excludes the performance of Eskom transmission and Eskom distribution. It is basically just to ensure that that particular division is incentivized to actually do, if it's doing well, that it be compensated for that. Chair, there are standards that are applied to the performance of the distribution sector, and largely captured in the system's average interruption duration index, SAIDI, and also in the system average frequency index, SAIFI. So and of course the last one, which is the distribution supply loss index as well. For that particular year, Chairperson, it is the analysis has indicated that Eskom distribution did, at least for that particular year, did meet and exceed the target that was set for it, and hence with the corrections that were or with the comments and corrections that were offered by members at the ELS. It is that reason that we are here to then request that the Energy Regulator approve that the reward amount of 69 million rands be awarded to Eskom distribution for its performance levels, which were achieved for the year 21-22. And that those be applied and be recovered through the RCA. The RCA that we've actually requested that it be dealt with at the next meeting, the one that has been withdrawn. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Members, any questions, comments, enhancements? I do not see any hands. Members, may I then take you to item 6, which is on page 2 of 2, where it is requested that we approve the 69.05 million to Eskom distribution for its performance of the levels achieved in the financial year 2021-22 that was applied for through the RCA. By show of hands, colleagues. Mr. Gumede, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mkize, Ms. Mpungose, Ms. Bia, Ms. Vanda, Mr. Spanda, thank you. We have that item approved. Mr. Gumede, you still have 5.7.
Thank you, Chairperson. This one is similar also to the previous one, but this one is in respect of Eskom transmission. However, in this particular case, the numbers did not support Eskom transmission actually getting any incentives, and therefore for this particular one there are no incentives that have been there is no incentive amount that has been proposed, and therefore we are just here to request the energy regulator that it's always when we say it's a reward amount when there is nothing. Basically, what we are asking is that the Eskom transmission division not to be paid any incentive amount, because they have in terms of the analysis of the standards that have been set, that we do not believe that they've actually achieved any of that to be able to actually justify. They were just operating right on the dead band. So they were basically, what we were then saying is that there were no incentives or penalties that were due to it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Colleagues, any questions, comments? I don't see any hands, and so if we can go to page 2 of this submission, but I think the recommendation, in fact, this recommendation that the reward amount is 00, I mean, sure we can, as Mr. Gumede said, we can write things better. I think this copying and pasting from one page to the other doesn't really help when we don't make things to be presentable in the way that the regulator should be writing its decision. Can we indicate that there is no reward or penalty that Eskom would be, there's no reward that would be, or penalty for Eskom's performance for the financial year 2021-2022. By show of hands, colleagues, if you are aligned to my proposed change of that the reward amount is 0 and approving the submission. Got Ms. Maseti, Ms. Bungose, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Kumete, Ms. Semane, Mr. Spanda, and Mr. Bia. Thank you very much. It's approved. If we could make that correction on the recommendation, Ms. Ngume. Thank you. Mr. Kumete, I think the last item, the minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. The minutes are here for noting. I don't have any issue that I would like to raise. I would like to flag, Chair. Thanks.
Members, any issues that you would like to be clarified in the minutes of the Electricity Subcommittee of the 5th of September 2023? None? May you please raise your hands to indicate that you are happy to note these minutes. Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Kumede, Ms. Semane, Ms. Vanda, and Ms. Bungose. Thank you. The minutes are noted as such. Colleagues, we are going to move on to the next section of our meeting on regulatory reports, and we're going to come to the report by the chairperson of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, the regulator member primarily responsible for pipe gas regulation at NESA, Ms. Nomfundo Maseti. Ms. Maseti, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the first report that I have is the application by Sasol Gas, and the first application that I have, it deals with the amendment of the maximum price by Sasol Gas, and this is the amendment of the price that ought to have been charged from July 2022 up until June 2023. Members' attention is drawn to the fact that at the time of this, or the period that is requested here, is covered by the decision of the energy regulator that already exists, meaning that the energy regulator approved in 2021 a maximum price for 2 years. So for the first year, it was implemented. Now, for the second year, it was supposed to have been implemented from July 2022, which is this period. It coincides with this period. However, because of the surge in gas prices internationally, Sasol could not adjust its price, but the maximum price was still valid. So it charged the same price without adjusting it upwards, as the decision provided that it can adjust it upwards. And nothing stopped Sasol from adjusting, but the only reason that Sasol could not adjust it is because the prices could have been around 300 rands per gigajoule, and it wanted to adjust with a sort of an excessive margin. So that's where we came in. Otherwise, it could have just adjusted it with a reasonable portion. So that is the first thing. So how does Sasol now propose to cure that aspect of not being able to adjust its price? Sasol then submitted an application in March of this year, and then it used a new methodology, not the methodology that was applicable, which is applicable to that decision. So that is one of the reasons that we are, the committee says it cannot be approved. So they're using a methodology of 26 January 2023. That's the first thing. The second thing is that this is an amendment, and it means that one is then amending the decision of the energy regulator, a decision that is still valid and can only be set aside by the court. That is the second reason that this is not allowed. And then the third thing is that even if the energy regulator were to look into this application, it means that the energy regulator will be approving a price and for implementation, a retrospective implementation. So that is the third thing that is problematic with this, and therefore also we cannot amend the decision of the energy regulator. Chairperson, there were issues of clarification here. And the table that is on page 6, it shows some of the summaries of the issues that were raised. The last point that I would like to bring to the attention of the members is that this decision of the energy regulator was there was an application to review it. That the hearing on the merits of that review application was held in May of this year at the High Court. So we're waiting for the ruling of the High Court, whether the entire decision of the energy regulator was irrational or not. So there can't be an application to amend the decision of the energy regulator. With that said, Chairperson, in terms of just the context so that members understand why we are proposing that it not be approved, it's the summary of what I've said is already on page 11. We're now requesting the energy regulator to not approve the amendment application for the maximum price starting from July 2022 up until June 2023. And we know that that price is higher than the one that was previously approved. And then we also requested decision that the energy regulator approve that the application itself is not consistent with the legislation in threefold. The first one is the retrospective implementation that I've indicated earlier on. The second one, the use of the methodology, new methodology, and it would mean that that methodology is being applied retrospectively. And then the third thing is that the application included the elements as the alternative value dilution terminology that it does not appear. It's just the creativity from the commercial side of things. And therefore, in the event that Sasol intends to seek an amendment, a decision, the established legal procedure for amending such a regulatory decision is by going to the court. And I'm saying that that would not be necessary because already that review has already taken place. We're waiting for a decision. And then Sasol Gas may also apply for clawback. This is because we know that in our decision, we gave them the right to adjust the price. They simply did not adjust the price, and therefore we also appreciate that there's revenue loss or revenue shortfall, and it is important for the regulator that we make sure that they recover all of their cost and there's no issues of revenue shortfalls. So hence we are talking about the clawback so that we provide guidance as the regulator instead of just rejecting to say what will be the much cleaner approach of recovering that revenue that they could not recover. That is that 14.1.4. And then lastly, Chairperson, is the decision and reasons for decision that we then request the energy regulator to approve, and that those RFDs are attached in Annexure A. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Members, we have a submission in front of us. Any questions, comments, enhancements? Mrs. Banda?
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to Ms. Masetti. Just a few questions of clarity, Chair. Obviously, this is a very peculiar or unusual application. The first question that I had related to the periodic price adjustment mechanism. I think Ms. Masetti has confirmed that that was provided for but not utilized by Sasol. What I want to find out is can Sasol still apply for a price adjustment to the extent that this particular maximum price still persists? Or is still applicable? Do they still have time to do that? And then secondly, there's a suggestion that they can also apply for a clawback. However, I saw one argument that says, in terms of the methodology, the clawback only applies to the trading cost and not to the price of the gas molecule. So I want to check what the team's position is regarding that issue, because they seem to be suggesting that Sasol can actually apply for a clawback. But the argument is that particular clawback only applies to the trading margin and not the full maximum price. And then lastly, to the extent that Sasol can apply for a clawback, can this be done as a on its own, or does it have to be contained in the next or subsequent maximum price application? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Banda. I do not see any other hands. Ms. Maseti, you may respond.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, with regards to the adjustment, Chairperson, if the application is going to come back now, I think it will be an issue with regards to the decision of the energy regulator, where we normally indicate that the effectiveness of the decision is from the date that the energy regulator made the decision. So we'll also have that challenge of retrospective application of the decision. So that's one challenge that we are foreseeing. But with regards to the clawback, hence the team proposed that, and we worked with legal services in that regard. And we are guided there by Regulation 4.4. So if there is an inconsistency with the pertaining to the methodology and the regulations, remember that the regulations are then the subset of the provisions of the Act. So Regulation 4.4 allows us that we must allow the applicant to recover all of its prudently and efficiently incurred cost. And then it also states clearly that with that is now in relation to the trading cost, that all of the, I think the total investments, it also has that phrase. So that phrase will then relate to the trading assets, that it must recover the return on the trading assets that it utilized for the trading of gas. So I think we'll still be guided by Regulation 4.4, and that regulation was also clarified by the Constitutional Court in terms of how the regulator must navigate its regulatory task by implementing Regulation 4.4. That will be the answer there. And then with regards to the clawback, yes, the clawback can be applied on its own because we normally wait for the audited financials. So they do not necessarily need to wait for another application of the price. And I think the tariff guidelines and the methodology do not prevent the applicant from applying separately as soon as the audited financials are available. Thank you. And I don't know if Chairperson, maybe if there's one from the team who may want to augment Chairperson in case I may have said something that is not necessarily, accurate, in case that is the case.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. If there is, the floor is open for members to enhance what the chairperson of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee has indicated. I don't see any hands, Ms. Maseti, so I suspect that there's no one who wants to add on what you have added. In that case, colleagues, may I then move us to the recommendations there on page 14. I thought though that we should enhance the recommendations, and I think in the part where 14.1 and 14.11 where we don't approve, I think we keep that. But this other part that approve that Sasol gas amendment for maximum price is flawed in 3. I mean, can we move that to the reasons for the decision? Because, for instance, it's a fact that Sasol has deviated from the principle of that. There's nothing that we need to approve there. If Ms. Masetti would be happy with moving.
Yes, Chairperson, you are correct. We don't include it as a decision. It cannot be a decision. You are correct. It is just the options that in the discussion of the reasons for decision can be included there, Chairperson. Thank you.
So we take that. So we approve that. We approve 14.1.1, and I think we also approve 14.1.5 that the reasons for the decision be published, and these other parts of 14.1.4 can then be included in the reasons for the decision. Have you got that, Faye, that amendment of the decision?
Chairperson, I have. I just want to check on consistency here. Under electricity, and I stand guided, under electricity, you requested that the issue of publishing on the website be not included as as a resolution. Is that different here, or am I missing it?
I'm saying we're approving
14.1.1. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
14.1.5 with the decision and the reasons for the decision.
Okay, yes.
I'm not saying the publication is on which one?
No, you had mentioned it, so I was looking to see where it is and whether we are being consistent.
No, I don't recall mentioning it, but it's not here. But all I was saying is the other parts that after I approve that, those are parts, that part must go to our reasons for the decision.
Noted, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, with that, may I get an indication by show of hands if we are aligned with that approval? With Ms. Masetti, Mr. Kumeda, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Spanda, Ms. Semane, and Ms. Mbungose. Thank you. Ms. Masetti, you still have the floor on 6.2.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, 6.2 deals with the application from Sasol again. This time, Chairperson, is for the maximum price of gas. The period is 1st July 2023 until June 2024. So it's for 1 year, Chairperson. And in this time, they are using the appropriate methodology, the one that was approved in January for this specific application. Chairperson, there is the decision that is required is listed from page 2, and it is separated, Chairperson. In the slides is going to be influenced by the variations in the cost of gas, and also because allow that the price be adjusted on a quarterly basis. So it was important that then for the adjustment of the price must follow those adjustments that are going to happen in the agreement. So that's what you see from paragraph 2 there, Chairperson. So for the first quarter, 1st October 2023 to December, the price there, the maximum price must be 74 rands per gigajoule. Chair. It is shown there, and then it goes to table 2, and then it shows that it will be 78 rands, and in that order, Chairperson. Chairperson, we also just want to indicate that this price is going to be updated for the period 1st July 2023 to actually September 2023. We had to get additional information from Sasol on the 3rd of October because stakeholders said this will be sort of notional, and they're worried that then they don't want the licensee to take advantage of that and tend to adjust the price ridiculously. So it was therefore important to get some information that is reliable, even if it's the past information, so that they can see how to go forward, rather than to look at a notional, so that they are quite certain. So Sasol cooperated and gave us that information, and hence you see then those different tables there per quarter to see exactly and how the price is, the maximum price, or what level the maximum price is standing. The last point, Chairperson, that I want to bring to the attention of the committee is on table 4, just to show also the components of the maximum price there. That's what is showing there. The cost of gas itself, the trading cost pertaining to the trading assets, and then also the margin, the total cost, and the profit, which is the profit margin, and then the total cost as added in line with the approach taken by the methodology. Chairperson, with that, we are requesting that the energy regulator approves Sasol's gas's maximum price as shown in table 3. Chairperson, so that is the first quarter there as indicated. There's also table 4, which is the quarter that is indicated there. Let's just look at the dates there. And then that the price is going to be adjusted on a quarterly basis with 1 month lag in the implementation, and it excludes VAT, and that the decision of the energy regulator in this matter becomes effective on the for the monitoring on the day of the energy regulator's approval of that decision, that the licensee is required to apply for the next maximum price 4 months before the expiry, and that okay. Chairperson, this one again, it is something that we discussed at the committee. The one that relates to the study be conducted separately. Chairperson, as we indicated, because this way is sort of a parallel submission. So this part, Chairperson, if it can just go to the discussion on the reasons for decision, Chairperson, so that it is not part of the decision. And then lastly, Chairperson, we then requested that the reasons for decision be published. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Members, we have a submission in front of us. Any questions, comments? None. May I then take you to the recommendations? I think, Ms. Maseti, we are removing 2.1.15. But on 2.1.6, we are just approving the reasons for the decision. The publication of them follows the processes that are really defined in NESA. We don't have to. I mean, once we have approved them, there's other processes that are within NESA. So we can remove that publication. I think that's what Faye was asking in the previous end. So in this one, we're approving the reasons for the decision, and the other processes will come in. By show of hands, members, if you are in agreement with approving with the exception of 2.1.5 and the modified 2.1 for that. I've got Ms. Simane, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Mkiza, Mr. Kumeda, Mr. Bia, Ms. Maseti, and Ms. Bungose. Thank you. We have a decision. Faye, you would just note on 2.1.6 that we are removing that part that talks about the publication. Ms. Maseti, you still have the floor on 6.1.3.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, this one is the application by Sasol Gas. This time, it is the tariff that must be charged on its transmission pipeline. Chairperson, we and the period for that is a period of 2 years for the tariff application, Chairperson. So the way that Sasol applied, it used the postal approach, and which is provided in the tariff guidelines. So we provide different options that the applicants can use there, and all of the methods that are in the tariff guidelines are internationally approved and recognized methods. So this one, Sasol combines its assets for a specific zone. For instance, for the Gauteng region, it will combine all of its assets, and then also for the KZN, and then also for the Mpumalanga region. So those are the zones that are shown there, Chairperson. And the tariffs there, I see that the team has highlighted them as being confidential. I don't know how people are going to know what tariffs are applied for. But Chairperson, in terms of the zones there, as I've explained them, you will see them on table 1 in terms of these zones, and also the volumes and the revenue that is applied for, which is acceptable, and the tariffs there range between I think average of 7%. If you look at page 5, there, Chairperson, 7.8, 6.5, and 7. So it's plus minus 7%. The Chairperson, Sasol complied to a large extent. The differences are very minimal. Hence, we are then proposing that the tariffs be approved. And we try to also just provide the chart there on page 7, paragraph 4.18, just so that we can, the members can see the trend there in terms of the zones or the tariffs for the zones that might actually be of concern. And some of the tariffs, at least, that are declining, some of them are actually going up. And those are the ones that we are going to monitor closely. And even when we are doing the audits, we will make sure that at least we check the operational expenses there and also the performance of the pipelines there. So we wanted the members to actually take note of that. With that, Chairperson, I would like to then request the energy regulator. If you go to page 10, the recommendations are that the energy regulator must approve the transmission tariff for Sasol gas for the period starting 1st July 2023 until 30th of June 2024. We have shown all of that, Chairperson, on table 1 as shown there. The tariffs exclude VAT, Chairperson. Discounts are allowed, but they must be applied in line with provisions for discrimination in section 22 of the Gas Act, and that these approved tariffs will remain in force until new tariffs are approved. And then the last thing is to approve the reasons for decision with the exclusion of the publication. Chairperson, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Members, there's a submission in front of us. Any enhancements, corrections, or points to be clarified? None. May I then request that members will go to page 10. I think the recommendations is 14.1. If you accept 14.11, it's the tariff. Ms. Massetti, your guidance is that these tariffs are not going to be blanked out, and they need to be the stakeholders need to have a sight of these. Yes. Okay. So we also remove the blanking out, and that the inclusive of VAT discounts are allowed, or exclusive of VAT discounts are allowed, and that we are approving the reasons for the decision, not the publication of that. By show of hands, colleagues, if we are all aligned. Good. Mr. Kumete, Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Beer, Mrs. Massetti, Ms. Semane, and Mr. Spanda and Ms. Bungosa. Thank you. We have that approved. Ms. Massetti, please take us to item 6.4.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, this application, it comes from Natural 32i Ltd. They're applying for the maximum price. The period is May 2023 until April of 2024. Chairperson, the elements of this maximum price are shown on table 1 in terms of the cost of gas. That is the gas that the cost that they are buying the gas for. And then it also shows the trading cost in terms of the assets that they're utilizing. And then it shows also the profit component as allowed in terms of regulation 4.4. We are requesting the energy regulator to approve the application and taking into account all of the elements as to how the trading costs were calculated as shown in table 2, but the figures are confidential there. They've got a number of assets there. These are your sort of the compressed natural gas, and they also have the MET modules and also the compressors and all of those. So those are some of the trading assets that they are using. If one now compares with the pipeline assets or those assets that are associated with the pipeline in trading as we dealt with the Sasol one. So that's where the difference is. And then we are showing in table 4 the differences in terms of how NERSA calculated the trading cost, as well as the tax. You will see the tax there, the amount there. There's is sort of a big difference. And also, if you look at the return there, there is also a big difference there, which is influenced largely by the work on table 4. But all of that, once we have calculated it, Chairperson, it took us to a reasonable difference. And we're now recommending to the energy regulator to approve the natural gas vehicles P2I Ltd, that is NVG, maximum price application on table 3, as I've indicated. When you add all of that, it gives you that amount, and that price excludes VAT. And the frequency of adjustment of the price, it will be done on an annual basis, meaning that we'll get another application. The discounts can be provided there, Chairperson, but they must comply with the price differentials and the objective differences that are stipulated in Section 22, and that this price is valid until a new price is approved. The last decision requested is that the energy regulator must approve the decision itself, as well as the reasons for decision that are attached. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Massetti. Members, we have a submission in front of us from NVG P2I Ltd. Any questions, comments, or points to be clarified? None. May I then take you to page 2? I think that's the start of the decision that we approve, table 1. And 2.12, 2.13, 2.14, 2.15, and 2.16, and 2.17. By show of hands, colleagues. Good, Ms. Massetti, Mr. Gumete, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Spanda, Mr. Biya, Ms. Samane, and Ms. Bungose. The submission is approved. Thank you. 6.5, which is now VGN.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, we're now considering VGN, which is the sister company of the one that we have just presented. The difference there is the focus in the business model, as the other one will actually have in the sort of the filling stations, as they sell the gas as in the transport trucks, as well as taxis and all of that. So this is just the sister company, also focusing on industrial customers, as well as in the transport sector. So here, Chairperson, we are requesting that the energy regulator approves the tariffs, the maximum price for VGN. You'll see there, Chairperson, the cost of gas again is quite similar, and then the trading costs are different because of the assets that they use, although there are some common or joint costs in terms of the assets, especially in the mother station, what they term the mother station. So sometimes they will have some joint cost there. So it's something that the team pays attention to, so that there is no duplication. So they check those things. So if you look at the trading cost, table 3, Chairperson, on page 4, you will see how what is the breakdown of the trading cost there. Information is confidential there, Chairperson, but we just wanted the team to, the members to actually have a look at that. And then, Chairperson, in terms of the differences, you will see the only one that where there is a huge difference is on the profit component. The way that VGN calculated its profit component, it is specified in the methodology. So NERSA complied with the methodology. That's why you see that difference there, Chairperson. But overall, when we calculated the maximum price, it did not take us outside of what we'll consider to be sort of a reasonable difference. As a result, Chairperson, we then now would like to take the energy regulator to the recommendations on page 8 to page 9, where we request the energy regulator to approve the VGN's application for maximum price for the period May 2023 until April 2024. The table 6 there is what needs to be approved, and that the adjustment will occur on an annual basis, meaning again that we'll get a new price, that this price that is approved is excluding VAT, that discounts are allowed, and that that the date of the energy regulator's decision becomes the effective date for the implementation of this price, that the licensee is required to apply 4 months before the end of the current price, as well as requesting the energy regulator to approve the decision itself, as well as the reasons for decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mosetti. Members, we have the VGN maximum price application in front of us for approval. Any questions, comments? None. May I then take you to page, I think, yeah, it's page 8 of the submission. First of all, we're approving what is on 14.1.1. I think the number that we'll be showing is the maximum price that is at the bottom. We're approving that it's for 1 year. It's exclusive of VAS and discounts are allowed. And the date of the energy rate regulator is when this is effective, and the licensee is required to apply for maximum price 4 months before the expiry. And we are approving the reasons, the decision and the reasons for the decision. By show of hands, colleagues. With Mr. Kumede, Ms. Mosetti, Ms. Mpungose, Mr. Spanda, Ms. Bia, Mr. Mane, and Mr. Mkiza. Thank you. Ms. Mosetti, I think the next one is Novo.
Yes, Chairperson, thank you very much. Chairperson, the business model of Novo is similar to the VGN business model, in the sense that when it buys gas that was from the pipelines, it then compresses the gas and then sell the gas through the different sort of met modules, and the other ones are those sort of tanks that are sort of a new technology. Then some of the gas, then it goes, it will fire the trucks and sold to motor vehicles to compete with the petrol or diesel. So that's the kind of a business that we're talking about here. Having said that, Chairperson, I would like to draw the attention of the members to the maximum price. The table is not indicated there, but if you look at the covering submission, it will be on page 2. You will see that the cost of gas, how much it buys the molecule. And then the second row, it will show the trading cost. Remember, the trading cost will be these assets that I've indicated that they need to have operating in Gauteng, operating also in Mpumalanga. So all of those assets are included there in the trading cost. And then you get the profit component, because you only have the molecule, but in the molecule as a maximum price of gas, you also need to have a profit, so that you can't just operate on the cost of gas that you have paid. It is the maximum that is required. So you find therefore the maximum price that we have there, Chairperson, which is what we're asking the energy regulator to approve. Chairperson, I just want to make sure that because there's 328 as well as 333 there, the team will come in there to just show that the 333 is the one that is calculated by the energy regulator, and then Novo calculated 328, and the difference is too small there if you look at table 3. Chairperson, I would like to take you now to the recommendations. The recommendations are on page 9. We request the energy regulator to approve the maximum price for the period May 2023 until April 2024, and the maximum price that is to be approved is 328.09 per gigajoule, Chairperson, and it will be adjusted on an annual basis, meaning we'll expect a new price, and this price excludes VAT, discounts are allowed, in compliance with Section 22, and then that this decision is effective on the date approved by the energy regulator, and the licensee must apply in time, meaning 4 months before the expiry of this price. And we request that the energy regulator approves this decision that we've just read out, as well as the reasons for decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Members, any questions, comments, points to be clarified? None. May I then take you to page 9? I think it's page 9 and page 10 of the decision, which I think from 14.1.1 right up to 14.1.7. By show of hands, colleagues. Got Mr. Gumede, Ms. Maseti, Ms. Beer, Mr. Mane, Mr. Sbande, Mr. Mkhize, and Ms. Mbungose. Thank you. We have the decision. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. I think the next one is the Transnet one.
Thank you, Chairperson. The next application is from Transnet, Chairperson, and this is the multi-year tariff application starting from April 2023 until 31st March 2026. This is for its transmission pipeline starting from Secunda all the way to KZN. That is the Lily pipeline, Chair. Chairperson, overall, if you look at the at table 1 there, you will see that there is a slight decline, meaning that we expect that the tariff will decrease over the period or the control period there from 2023-24 and then 2024-25 up to 2026. And that the other thing that would like to draw the attention of the members to is the fact that if you recall, we did not approve the original application in May of this year, particularly because there was a jump on the decommissioning cost, Chairperson, without sufficient reasons. And we have shown that on table 2, and that it caused 71% a difference on the tariff. So that's what we're demonstrating if we compared it with the previous year. So it was quite high. And now with the one that they've done in line with how we have been doing it for the past 9 years, Chairperson, it shows that they've done it well there. If you look at the decommissioning cost on table 3, you'll see the adjustment there, and that the tariff now, the difference that you see on the variance there is 23% if you look at that line. And those differences are mainly caused by the operational expenses. They are increasing the operational expenses, and this is the area that we indicated, Chairperson, that we need to pay attention to. We need to monitor in line with Section 4H of the Gas Act, because the pipeline division there, it includes the petroleum pipeline, the personnel that is there for the pipelines. So it's important that we always check for any possible duplication and double counting of this cost, and the auditors to pay attention to this kind of information. And you will also see that the difference again is on the returns there, Chairperson, and also the way that the tax was calculated and the clawback on the volumes. Also, again, Chairperson, the volume risk issue we just need to pay attention to, because we are seeing that Transnet has asked for an increase. We do note some of the limitations in terms of the methane-rich gas coming from Sasol there. So we will also monitor the issue of the volumes of gas. So those are the 2 main or 3 main things that we wanted to emphasize and indicate how we intend doing it. But Section 4H allows us to monitor and regulate if necessary. So we want to bring that to the attention of the members. Members are now requested to approve the tariff application from Transnet for the period 1st April 2023 up until 2026, and that this tariff excludes VAT, and and that NERSA will, sorry, I just want to get to the other one, to approve the decision, as well as the, we remove the publication chairperson, we approve the decision itself, as well as the reasons for decision on 14.1.5. Chairperson, thank you very much. You might be on mute, Chairperson.
Apologies. Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Apologies for talking to your muted, my colleagues. Any questions, comments? Mr. Sibanda?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Ms. Masetti. Chair, I think whilst I do take the point that the tariff does decrease in subsequent years, there is actually a substantial increase from the 2022-23 financial year to 23-24, and then it decreases thereafter. And for me, that initial increase is probably 3 times the rate of inflation, and that's a concern. But as Ms. Masetti indicated, I think the main driver there probably will be your operational costs, and to the extent perhaps the team can just confirm whether those were really scrutinized closely enough. Then the second question is with respect to the decommissioning cost, the original decommissioning cost. What happened to that? Because that was quite a huge increase compared to the revised application. So I just want to understand what happened to the original decommissioning costs that were increasing by more than 1,000%. And then lastly, Chair, I've just have an issue with the fact that our calculation comes in at a more than 10% variance to Transnet's calculation, and yet we are accepting the application. Now, I have an issue with consistency, because we've always rejected applications where our calculations, the variance comes in at more than 10% to that of the applicant. But here we're saying that the challenge is that we cannot reject it again because it's going to leave a vacuum. I'm not entirely convinced, Chair, with that particular reasoning. Perhaps it could be clarified further what we mean by leaving a vacuum, but it's just a consistency issue for me, Chair, that if we do this with this particular applicant, how are we going to treat similar applications where we've got variances that are above 10%, and that has always been our approach, Chair, in these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Ms. Masetti?
Chairperson, I would like the team to come in here also just to assist. But I think also it's very, at that point that Mr. Sibanda raised, we also looked at it, and I think maybe the reason has not been couched properly there, Mr. Sibanda. In my introduction, I did indicate the concerns in the areas there where there might be a duplication, and the fact that there will be audits that are done there, Mr. Sibanda. Then the second thing is that, as indicated, so once you've looked at the application, so that you don't have this repetitive thing, which is one thing that we even indicated in Parliament when we motivated for the amendments to the Gas Act. This issue of the 10%, like if it's above 10%, it came as a result of some possible interpretation that will say that, it is tantamount to us setting the price. Or determining the price as opposed to approving the price. So it was an issue of the interpretation there. And hence then I indicated in my introduction that says that Section 4H allows us to then regulate. So in the way that then we are going to regulate, we are going to look closely to these expenses that we highlighted and also instructed that there be audit that is scoped and targeting those areas. Otherwise, it will be the back and forth that we have always indicated to the legislature when we made presentations that we can't always reject. So, and also this is also an advice from council that if you have done it the first time and then they still don't correct it to the extent that you want as a regulator when you have provided the guidance, then what you can do is to regulate. So we do have a senior counsel advice in that regard and indicated clearly the decisions of the courts, how they interpret what regulates mean as we are given those powers in Section 4H. I think it's the way that the reasons are couched there, Chairperson. I just want to clarify that point. And maybe, Chairperson, because you do know very well the history of that 10%, and maybe you can also just confirm if the way that I've put it, the issue of being tantamount to sort of regulating or setting that 10% more than anything else. Thanks, Chair. I would like the team members to come in on the other questions that are asked by Mr. Siband.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will start with the question on the increase on the expenses. Chair, it was a point of concern from our side. As a result, we then asked Transnet to provide us with a list of all the expenses which were above the inflation so that we can scrutinize them once again. If you look in the submission on table 9, you will see that there is a list of expenses there that were provided as part of the additional information when we're doing the necessary scrutiny. And then from Transnet's side, the explanation was that the increase on the expenses were really necessitated by the electricity tariff increases and the fuel price increases. And then from our side, what we do is that at the end of the financial year, we do audit all these expenses and also check if indeed they provided the information, the projection as per the actual, just to ensure that the customers are not made to pay for prices that are too high, which is not related to the service that they are being provided. Chair, on the second question of the decommissioning costs, the original amount, that is the amount that we used in this tariff application. You will recall that in terms of the NERSA decision, I think it was around July or May, when NERSA decided not to approve the revised decommissioning cost, but rather approve that we use the original that was done through the Arthur D. Little report, and that original, which was done in around 2012, it has to be, the inflation has to be applied so that we can determine the cost that is up to date. So the original decommissioning cost is the one that we have used. Now, what we are doing with the cost that they have provided in the January tariff application, we are doing prudency test on it, and the results of the prudency test will then be submitted to this to the NERSA board. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Masset.
Okay. Chairperson, if I may just come in on the issue of that decommissioning cost, you will recall, Mr. Sibanda, for the past, 14 years, that those costs were never there, and Transnet knows very well what is the process there. With all of this, when we do the starting regulatory asset base, we agree and they will get consultants, and then they bring a report before they could just bring an application that now will lump those costs in that application. So they will submit a report. NERSA will look into that report, provide comments, and see if we allow those costs and all of that. That becomes important if those are costs that are acceptable to the energy regulator before they can start implementing that. So we treat it completely as a separate matter, and hence we said it cannot just come in the form of an application. So we need to still scrutinize it, and they must follow the processes that they know they have followed before. So they are not on the table at this moment in terms of any application that is brought to the energy regulator. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, maybe you may want to come in on that issue that I requested to see if the approach that we've used before, if on this 10% is aligned. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Masetti. I do confirm, Ms. Masetti, that in the past, but maybe my past was some 8 years ago, what you have indicated was exactly what we're done in that. And I think to answer maybe Mr. Sbanda's question about the inconsistency is that I think we consciously indicate why we are accepting that as much as it's more than 10%, but it is not much more than 10%, and there are other methods that we would use to claw back funds if we think that we have overextended for them. But I do confirm what Ms. Masetti has said, but I'm saying my qualifier is that this was more than 8 years ago when I was there. Mr. Sband?
Chairperson, I'm covered. Perhaps we may want to enhance that portion just a little bit, just to make it a bit more clearer, Chair. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. May I then indicate, Ms. Masetti, Ms. Masetti, if you could indicate, I know you've indicated that you are fine with that, that would enhance that. And can I take you to the page then where we have the decisions, and with that enhancement that has been proposed also by Mr. Sband? What page is it now, Ms. Masetti?
Yes. Mr. Sbanda, can you help me again with the page? I'm sorry.
I am trying to calm down, but not as fast as...
I think 6.56, we've got it there. And
Chair, maybe just to assist, it's page 30 of 60.
Okay.
Page 30.
Yeah. So I think with starting from 14.1, and the numbers are given there in table 1, that's what we are requesting the members to approve. As usual, that there's exclusive of VAT, and that the discounts are applicable, and the tariff comes in force when on the date that the energy regulator approves, and that we approve the reasons for the decision as well. By show of hands, colleagues.
Chairperson, just with the enhancement that
Yes.
Provided. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. By show of hands, colleagues. Mr. Kumete, Mr. Sbanda, Mr. Mane, Ms. Bungose, Mr. Beer, Mr. Mkiza, I saw something that you were right here. Mr. Mkiza, okay, thank you. We have the approval. I think the last point, Ms. Masetti, is the minutes. If there's anything that you want to emphasize or amplify from the minutes.
Sorry, Chair. Chairperson, there is nothing that I would like to emphasize on the minutes. I take them as being read by the members. The last issue, Chairperson, I will highlight during the governance session of this meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Masetti. Members, any issues that you would want Ms. Masetti to clarify on the minutes? None? may you indicate by raising your hand that we are noting the minutes. I've got Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Kumete, Mr. Spanda, Ms. Simane, Ms. Mbungose, and Ms. Sibia. Thank you. The minutes are noted. We are now coming to the last part of our open session meeting, where we have a report from the chairperson of the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee, the regulator member primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines regulation, Mr. Mkize. Mr. Mkize, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I've got two items, one being the application by Allen View Storage Limited, P2L Ltd, trading as Bidvest tank terminals, applying for the amendment of a license issued to it for the operation of petroleum storage and loading facilities with its auxiliary pipelines located at Harbour Arterial Road, Richards Bay in KwaZulu-Natal Province. The energy regulator is requested not to approve the Bidvest tank terminals application for the amendment of its license for the operation of the petroleum facilities in Richards Bay, which seeks to remove a butane storage tank, which previously used to store LPG from its license. And secondly, to then approve the decision and reasons for decision document, which is attached as Annexure 1 to the submission. LPG is actually composes of butane as well as pentane. So propane. So it can come in different proportions, sometimes 60-40, sometimes 70-30%. So we take it that when looking at just from a chemistry point of view, is that when we're talking of LPG, you could have a situation where what was used for LPG then gets used for, in terms of storage, used for butane. And sometimes you have situations where these two are stored separately, and then they are they are then put together in a separate tank, so that they can then be used as conventional LPG. In this case, however, I must stress that the issues that were raised during the PPS are indicated in Table 1, where PPS, the Petroleum Pipelines Subcommittee, supported the recommendation that is being put forth to the energy regulator, noting in particular what is under the comments and questions under 4, that petroleum is defined as a crude oil and petroleum products, with petroleum products defined as any liquid petroleum fuel and any lubricant, whether used or unused, and includes any other substance which will be used for a purpose for which a petroleum fuel or any lubricant may be used. And then taking that into consideration and looking at section 15, subsection 1B, which states that a person may not, without a license issued by the energy regulator, operate a petroleum pipeline, a loading facility, or a storage facility. We are of the view that this application is not supported by our legislation, as this product should be regulated over and above what I've explained in terms of the chemistry, just at a very high level. And this tank is a cryogenic tank, as indicated in paragraph 2 of the reasons for decision document, which was used for LPG previously, but they intend to use it for butane from a point of view of cost saving and operating efficiently. However, we remain of the view that the tank should still be regulated as it is a petroleum product. Just to state that under Table 1, just want to emphasize that the last paragraph should actually be struck through and highlighted in yellow, because those figures are actually confidential. I will leave it at that, Chairperson, and will take any questions that are put forth by members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Members, we have a submission in front of us. Any questions comments, points to be clarified? I don't see any hands. Before we go to the decision, Mr. Mkhize, I note that the committee had discussed the time that it took to do this, and I think I note that there's also some actions that have been taken by you to ensure that we shorten the time to process this application, and I trust that that's still in place. I mean, I couldn't really get it on the minutes, but the point I just want to go back to, I do want us to align, colleagues. You know, when I read item 14 on the, then clause 14 on the submission in the motivation, it says in summary it is NASA's staff's considered view. I don't know if NASA's staff view and NASA's view should ever be different. I mean, the staff of NASA is there to support the NASA and should not have different views or should not have their views being singled out. So if in our summaries and in our documents that we're going to write, we're going to remove those other parts, I would be grateful, because NASA staff is there to support the regulator. If the regulator members were not there, there would be no staff.
Yeah,
Mr. Mkhize?
Yes, thanks, Chairperson. That will be corrected. I think there is an issue that has also been, we're trying to also to emphasize the issue of neutrality, fairness, and objectivity as a regulator, and the fact that when we put things forward, we understand the platform where they are put forth. I think some of the things become remnants of what was discussed in the early stages. Unfortunately, I think this was one case in this one. And secondly, when it comes to the processing, without necessarily trying to come up with excuses, we also had an unfortunate situations in terms of the ill health of some members in this team, particularly the HOD, leading to challenges. But those things have been addressed ever since, and as well as really being able to account for every day in terms of the processing of submissions. That I think we have turned the corner in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Members, by show of hands, if we are aligned and in support of the recommendations made by the Petroleum Pipelines Subcommittee. Good, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mane, Ms. Pungose, Mr. Spanda, and Mr. Mane. Thank you. And Mr. Mkhize, it's approved. We can then go on to the recommendations that have been approved as presented. Can we go to 7.2 if there's any matters that we'd want to emphasize?
Thanks, Chairperson. With regard to 7.2, these are the PPS meeting number 177 meeting minutes of 6 September 2023, which was held virtually via MS Teams. Although I would prefer not to highlight issues, I think it would be amiss of me not just to highlight the decision and reasons for decision for the application for a license by SSF, which is the Strategic Fuel Fund Association, to construct an LPG marine loading facility and its auxiliary pipeline in Saldanha Bay, Western Cape Province. This we see it as also going to assist, especially with the challenges that have been experienced with the LPG supply in the Western Cape. I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for highlighting that. I think it is always important to highlight these milestone decisions that we make, despite what is always said about us being the ones that are delaying this and that. I think when there's something that we have done, it's upon us to also highlight it and make some noise about it. So thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Colleagues, any questions, comments other than what has been highlighted by Mr. Mkhize? None. May you indicate by raising your hand if you are in support of noting these minutes. Mr. Masetti, Mr. Kumende, Mrs. Panda, Mr. Simane, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Mpungose. Do we still have Ms. Sevilla in the meeting?
She's still there,
She's here.
Chairperson.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Colleagues, we have come to the end of the open part of the meeting. May I thank the members of the public who have been with us and for your time. And I hope that in our deliberations, you get the confidence that your matters or the matters of the electricity supply industry, petroleum pipelines industry, and the pipe gas industry are in capable hands. Thank you for your time. We will now close the meeting.